Hey guys, Eric Bischoff here to talk to you about my friends over at SaveWithConrad.com. Are you looking to get out of debt? Conrad and his team can make that happen faster than me firing the honky tonk man. Wow. And you know that controversy creates cash, right? But you know what doesn't create cash? Credit card debt. Save with Conrad can help you consolidate high-interest credit cards and all of your other debt into one low monthly payment. They can even help you get the cash you need for home improvements or anything else. They've helped 83 Weeks listeners save $500, $600, $700, even $800 a month. Seriously, your papers are going to go down faster than Nitro ratings in 2000. Ouch! And how about this? No house payments for 2 months. That's right, no house payments for 2 months. And unlike the dirt sheets, man, the reviews do not lie. With over 1,000 5-star reviews, find out for yourself how much Conrad and his team can save you by checking out SaveWithConrad.com today. You'll be grateful you did.
NMLS number 65084, equal housing lender. Woo!
With us here tonight. It's a beautiful night here in Atlanta, and hope it's been a great day wherever you are. And we will be taking your telephone calls momentarily. Again, our local number, 872-0750. Our national toll-free number, 1-800-WSB-TALK. I think we're going to have an interesting program tonight. In our second half hour, we expect calls from Mr. Perfect and also from the Intercontinental Champion in the World Wrestling Federation, Shawn Michaels. They are not at home. They are wrestling tonight, we understand, and we will hopefully be able to speak with them sometime in our second half hour. And also in just a few moments, we'll be going to the telephone to talk to one of the newer members to the WWF broadcast team, a man that many of you will hear every Sunday at noon Eastern Time on USA Cable on All-American Wrestling. The Wizard will be with us, and we'll be taking your calls about the World Wrestling Federation or anything that's on your mind here tonight on the program. Also in the broadcast, we'll be talking more about the Sunday, June 13th pay-per-view spectacular. You know, the next great pay-per-view in wrestling, ladies and gentlemen, is definitely on Sunday, June 13th, 8 o'clock starting time. That's an Eastern start from the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio. Maybe we'll get some calls tonight from Dayton, Ohio. It's a great city, and that's where the King of the Ring pay-per-view will take place exclusively, as we said, on pay-per-view. Hulk Hogan to defend the WWF title against Yokozuna. We'll take your calls on that. And we also know that 4 men have qualified thus far for the King of the Ring tournament, that being the number 1 seed, Bret the Hitman Hart, the narcissist Lex Luger, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and Razor Ramon. Tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw, either Bam Bam Bigelow or Typhoon will advance, as they will go one-on-one tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw. We'll talk more about Raw a little bit later in the broadcast as well. I'll also tell you about next weekend's television on the WWF Network. Going to be a great weekend for TV on the WWF Network, and I'll talk about that a little bit later in the program as well. So we've got a lot of things to talk over. All of our phone lines are blinking. Our producer, Daryl Harris, is working feverishly to get that taken care of. And I understand, Daryl, our guest is on the line, so we shall go to our telephone and talk to our first guest of the evening. The Wizard is on the phone, and welcome, sir, to our broadcast.
Well, indeed, it is your pleasure, Jim Ross. You know, and first of all, you said it was a nice day in Atlanta, right?
It's beautiful here. Beautiful day.
Beautiful, yeah, but you're in the South.
You're right. You're good at your geography. So we're in Atlanta, in the South.
I'm the Wizard.
Atlanta's in the South. I hope the weather's nice wherever you are.
Well, let me ask you a question. You know, I heard you say that the King of the Ring, June 13th, is going to take place in Dayton, Ohio. Do you know why Hulk Hogan wanted this title defense to be in Dayton, Ohio?
I don't know, but I have a feeling we're about to be enlightened.
Because he said he wanted to defend the WWF Championship in the heart of America, Dayton, Ohio.
Well, he gets his wish because it's certainly the heart of America. Great.
But do you know what's going to happen on June 13th in Dayton, Ohio? Hulk Hogan is going to have his very own heart crushed by Yokozuna. It's that simple.
Well, if that would happen, a lot of hearts would be broken as well, quite frankly. But that should be a great battle. You know, I heard Mr. Fuji's comments on television this weekend, and he made a very good point, I felt like, when he said that this time Yokozuna had plenty of time to prepare for Hulk Hogan. You might want to embellish on that remark. I know you heard it as well.
In addition to that, Jim Ross, this time Yokozuna is going to come in fresh. This time, Yokozuna is not going to step into the ring after having wrestled 20 hard minutes to become the WWF champion. I mean, in my eyes, I feel Yokozuna still is the WWF champion.
Well, I think a lot of people feel that way. I happen not to be one of them, but be that as it may,
There was never a match.
Well, Fuji made the challenge.
No, Fuji did. I give you that. Fuji did make a challenge, but contracts needed to be signed. Bells needed to be rung.
Songs needed to be sung, but it didn't happen that way, and they made a verbal agreement, and it worked for Kim Basinger. I guess it would be applicable there, right?
Who did Kim Basinger ever beat?
Well, I'm not going to get into that, but I've read a little bit in the Inquirer, but I don't want to go into that in detail. Let's talk about, before we go to the telephones, the 4 men that have qualified in this tournament, and the fans need to remember that this tournament on June 13th on pay-per-view is a single elimination tournament, sudden death, if you will. Bret Hart, the number 1 seed, Lex Luger, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and Razor Ramon all have qualified. All 4 certainly capable of being the king of the ring. And then tomorrow night, you got a big matchup on Monday Night Raw with Bam Bam Bigelow and Typhoon. How do you see this tournament shaping up? Is there a favorite in the early going?
Well, everybody so far is picking Bret the Hitman Hart because he was seeded number 1. My personal choice is the narcissist Lex Luger. He has knocked out everybody that he has been in the ring with. There's yet to be anyone who could put a stop to the narcissist. But you look at just with the 4 people that are in the tournament right now, it could be Hacksaw Jim Duggan facing the Hitman Bret Hart. I mean, what's going to happen there?
That could be a good match, too.
What about the narcissist Lex Luger and Bret Hart?
Well, I think that would make Bret Hart very happy, and Lex Luger feels very confident that he has the abilities and the skills to defeat the Hitman.
Well, he's knocked him out already. I mean, what more needs to be done?
You know, I wonder how much more his right arm weighs than his left arm with all that steel in his forearm. How does this guy get through one of those metal detectors at the airport?
Does it really matter when you knock everybody out? You know, everybody talks about is it fair, but is it fair that the narcissist Lex Luger is the greatest mesomorphic phenom in the entire world today?
What was that word again?
Is that fair? Mesomorphic phenom. I realize it's more than 2 syllables, and people from Oklahoma have problems with that. But
that wasn't very nice.
But it's true.
Well, I think we've had enough of our conversation. Let's go to the telephone. We got a lot of people wanting to get on the phones tonight, so let's jump out there through the miracles of radio and talk to David in Austell. David, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross. Our guest tonight is the Wizard. How you doing?
Pretty good. How are you, Jim?
Good, thanks.
How are you, Wizard?
Box of fluffy ducks.
Jim.
Yes.
I heard a rumor that the Night Stalker and Scotty Flamingo have entered the WWF under the names of Atomic Bomb and Johnny Polo.
You know anything about that, Wizard?
Well, I know that I saw an atomic bomb this past week, and this gentleman stands in excess of like 6'9" tall, and he was an incredible specimen, destroyed everything that stood in his path. And he had a young man by the name of Johnny Polo accompanying him as well.
All right, David, so that may address that issue. Let's talk to Stephen, who's calling us from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Stephen, you're Wrestling with Jim Ross.
This ought to be great.
And the Wizard, how you doing, Stephen?
Hi. And Wizard, I want to say something. Better shut your mouth about Oklahoma.
There you go,
Don't
Stephen.
get in trouble.
That's right.
Yeah. And
Wizard's
Well,
probably...
you know, I would say something about Oklahoma. There's really nothing much to say.
Yeah, if the truth was known, we'd probably find out, Stephen, that the Wizard was probably actually from Texas or somewhere obscene like that, but that's not the issue. What's your question, Stephen?
well, I was wanting to know. I was looking through one of my old WWF magazines that I had here, and I happened to look at an earthquake section here, and I was wondering whatever happened to him.
Wizard, whatever happened to the earthquake?
Well, the Earthquake is currently wrestling in Japan, and the Earthquake, I believe, took a little bit of time off from the World Wrestling Federation, but you never know when some Trevors might start taking place again.
Thanks, Stephen. We appreciate your call tonight, my friend. Let's talk to Andy in Austell. Andy, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross on AM 750 WSB. You got a question for the Wizard?
No, sir.
Well, you got a question for me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Well,
I got 2 of them.
Well, you're almost out of there, Andy. You said no that second one. You're gone. Daryl puts you in space here. What's up?
My first question, has Papa Shango won the USWA title?
I think that he did. Wizard, you know, I think he did, didn't he?
Of course. You know what the great thing about having the Wizard on the air is?
You know everything.
Is that I do. I know everything.
Well,
and the answer to that question is yes.
All right, Andy, answer the first question is yes. And what else is on your mind?
I also heard some unconfirmed rumors about some guys signed with the WWF. I was just wondering, have you heard of Howard Stern, Howard the Hammer?
Howard Stern? No, I don't know Howard Stern. He's a radio guy, isn't he? Up in New York, but I don't think he's going to be wrestling anything. Let's see. So much for Andy. Andy, take a nap and go to bed. Jason in Stone Mountain, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross and the Wizard. Thanks for holding.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to ask about two people. I wanted to know what happened to the Big Boss Man and to Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Well, Greg the Hammer Valentine, I read somewhere, heard somewhere, he was on an international tour. He's doing some freelance, some independent stuff. And the Big Boss Man, I think, is still affiliated with WWF. Is he not, Wizard, in some shape, form, or fashion?
Yes, he is. I believe the Big Boss Man is a goodwill ambassador. I think the fact of the matter is that the Big Boss Man just felt the going was a little bit too tough for him in the WWF and maybe wanted to take some time off.
Well, I don't. He's from. Now you're talking about a guy that's a native Georgia. Now he's from Cobb County. I think.
Need I say any more?
Well,
might as well be from Oklahoma.
Now, well, I don't. We're not even going to make any remark. We're going to go back to the Wizard here in a few moments. I have to stop at this point, though, ladies and gentlemen, and tell you about Monday Night Raw. And as again, we'll be back with the Wizard in just a few moments. Monday Night Raw got to be the hottest program on cable television, bar none. It is the highest-rated wrestling program on all of cable television in these here United States of America. It's on tomorrow night, 9 o'clock on USA Cable, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Big-time broadcast tomorrow night. Live, you see it as it happens. Nothing like it. A return match for the Intercontinental title. This time, Lumberjacks are going to surround the ring when Shawn Michaels defends against Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And I know that these Lumberjacks range from what I hear. Yokozuna may be at ringside. I also hear that Michael's old nemesis, Mr. Perfect, will be at ringside as well. We'll find out more about that in our second half hour of the program. Also, tomorrow night, a qualifying match for the King of the Ring tournament. Big-time matchup. Two super heavyweights, Typhoon and Bam Bam Bigelow, both guys around the 400-pound mark. All that and much more with Vince McMahon, Macho Man Randy Savage, and Bobby the Brain Heenan. Tomorrow night, USA Cable, 9 o'clock. Don't miss Monday Night Raw.
This is the Stinger here for Jim Ross on AM 750 WSB. Give him a call and talk to him right now on 872-0750 or 1-800-WSB-TALK. Call now.
Sting loves this program. Listens to it every week, I understand. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back here on the air in Atlanta. It's a beautiful night. And our meteorologist, who has never lost a wrestling match, by the way, and it's been documented, Kirk Mellish, our full-time meteorologist, says that tonight a few clouds and a low of 62 degrees. And Kirk Headlock Mellish further tells us that tomorrow it will be partly sunny and warm here in Atlanta with a high of 86 degrees tomorrow. And it's right now 75 here on top of Peachtree. And we are with the Wizard. Wizard is back with us here on the air now, and we are going to go back to the telephones. David is on the line on a Bell South car phone. Hi, David.
How you doing, Jim?
Good, thanks.
Thank you for taking my phone call.
Oh, thanks for calling.
All my friends call me the Masked Marvel, but I have a question for the Wizard. Are you Bruce Pritchard?
Well,
who did I say I was? I said I was the Wizard.
That's
David. David, you say your name is David, so therefore I address you as David. I said I'm the Wizard, therefore I am the Wizard.
Okay, well, I
you must be from Atlanta.
Okay. Well, what my question, Mr. Ross, was...
Wait, you said you had one question.
Well, we'll give him two.
Well, see, you didn't want to answer the question, was it?
I did answer the question.
Okay, you answered the question. Excuse me. I was wanting to know if any other wrestlers are in negotiations to come to WWF, and what has happened to Razor Ramon? I haven't seen him on TV lately.
David, about to lose you there. Razor Ramon, I've seen him on some broadcast. His schedule perhaps just not allow him to be on television as much perhaps as they would have liked. I don't really know, but he's still up and running. As a matter of fact, he's already qualified for the King of the Ring tournament, and he'll be one of 8 men that will be wrestling in that tournament. Let's go back. And, David, thank you for your call. Let's talk to Richard in Fairmont, West Virginia. Richard, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross on News Talk Radio, AM 750 WSB, and our guest is the Wizard. What's your question?
Yeah, I was wondering, excuse me, sorry. I heard last week Mr. Savage say something about WCW being the minor leagues of professional wrestling. And I was just wondering, I didn't understand it, because you look at Hulk Hogan, the WWF champion, and you compare him to, say, Vader, and it's not even close. It's ridiculous. Vader would destroy him.
You're right, it is ridiculous.
He would destroy him.
Well, Hogan probably would destroy Vader.
No.
Well, you know, Richard, that's why there's more than one flavor of ice cream. We all get the chance to pursue what we like, and I think that Macho Man's a very intense athlete, and he believes that. And as far as he's a 2-time WWF champion, really couldn't expect him to say anything else but that remark. Let's talk to Melissa. She's calling from Columbia, Pennsylvania. Melissa, we thank you for holding, and you're on with Jim Ross and the Wizard.
How you doing, Jim?
Fine, thank you.
I was wondering if you know when Big Boss Man be coming back.
No, I know that he's going to be. I know he's going to be playing golf this Friday in Pittsburgh at the Bill Froelich Celebrity Golf Tournament, representing the WWF. But as far as him being back in the ring, I really don't know. I know that he's probably going to be back in the ring at some time. Wizard, do you have anything to add to that, or any light you can shed on that regarding the Big Boss Man's schedule or his return, perhaps, to the WWF?
No, like I said before, I believe the Big Boss Man right now is licking his wounds and taking a little break from the action.
So it's really tough when a guy travels as much as those big people do, and the intensity of on the tolls in their bodies. It's good sometimes to take a break and heal up, basically. Let's talk to Clarence. Clarence in Decatur. Clarence, you're on AM 750 WSB.
Yes, Jim Ross, I'd just like to take 1 second and tell you the appreciation I have for your standard of excellence in broadcasting for Wrestling Challenge.
Oh, thank you.
I'd just like to say that, what would be your pick for the Mr. Perfect joint match this coming Saturday? I'll be watching that. What would be your pick for that matchup?
Well, good question. And this Saturday on, it's like a promo. We segue right into that. This weekend on Wrestling Challenge with the Bobby the Brain and yours truly will be this rematch with Doink and Mr. Perfect. I have a hard time picking against Mr. Perfect. I think he's a great athlete. I think Doink's a great athlete as well. But I'll lean toward Mr. Perfect this weekend, Clarence. And we thank you for your call. Let's see here. Let's talk to John in Dallas. John, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross and the Wizard.
Hey,
Go right ahead.
Okay. Are you going to be there at Slamboree?
Am I going to be at Slamboree?
Yeah.
Nope, can't be there this time, John. I'm going to miss Slamboree. Wizard, you're not going to make Slamboree either, are you?
No, I don't believe I am.
Okay. Well, we got about a minute left before we got to go to news here. And, Wizard, I want to thank you for being with us tonight. And maybe we can do this again somewhere down the road and hear some more of your insight.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Are you awake? Are you okay there? Are you bored with this program? Are you bored talking to all these wonderful fans across America and 38 states?
Well, the guy from West Virginia was a little slow.
Oh.
But, what do you expect? It's the South.
All right, well, sorry.
Those people from West Virginia, they're kind of funny. Well, Virginian period, but...
Okay, well, so much for the geography lesson. Thank you very much again for your time, and I'm sure we shall speak again.
Very well.
Good night, sir. That from the Wizard, and we'll have, hopefully, Mr. Perfect and Shawn Michaels in the second half hour, and we'll be back.
Now, more with America's leading wrestling broadcaster. It's Wrestling with Jim Ross. You can talk with Jim Ross and his guests by calling 872-0750. Now, here's Jim Ross.
And welcome back, everyone, to the program. Thanks for being with us here tonight. Again, we hope you'll be a part of the program, 872-0750 here in Atlanta. Our national toll-free number, we're heard in 38 states on this beautiful evening, 1-800-WSB-TALK. And, Daryl, we do have our guest ready, I do understand, correct? And we're going to go to the back of the telephones. And do we have Mr. Perfect on the line?
Okay, here he is right now.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Mr. Perfect.
Yes.
Jim Ross, you're on the air live. How are you?
I'm doing perfect, of course, Mr. Ross.
Good deal, my friend. Listen, a couple of issues I want to talk to you about. Tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw, the fans are looking forward to the rematch for the Intercontinental title. Shawn Michaels defending against Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Now, before we talk about your situation with Shawn Michaels, I understand that you will be one of the lumberjacks at ringside tomorrow night, and that could be, as far as I know your rivalry is concerned with the champion, a very interesting situation.
Well, of course it is, and I'm happy to be chosen to be one of the lumberjacks because I want to witness Shawn Michaels because, you know, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, as everybody knows, I predict tomorrow night Shawn Michaels will walk out a very hurt and destroyed man.
Well, your rivalry, of course, is really building, and the fans that saw WrestleMania saw what happened after your match with Lex Luger and the altercation that you had with Shawn Michaels. I'm looking forward to your one-on-one matchup with him, quite frankly, and, of course, you may be having to prepare for Hacksaw Jim Duggan if Duggan wins the title tomorrow night.
Well, that's correct. Well, if Duggan wins the title or not tomorrow night, that's beside the point. Right now, Shawn Michaels has got one coming from Mr. Perfect. You don't come up from behind and hit Mr. Perfect and leave him in the garbage like a piece of trash, and that's exactly what he did. And when Shawn Michaels and Mr. Perfect meet, I'll tell you right now, Shawn Michaels will not leave me in the garbage again.
This weekend, certainly a busy time right now. Everybody trying to qualify for the King of the Ring tournament. That'll be, of course, on Sunday, June 13th, a big pay-per-view event from the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio. This coming weekend, you have a rematch on WWF Challenge with Doink the Clown. Any thoughts about the rematch? Will it be different this time?
Well, it's going to be different because we've already met on a couple occasions here. Now, this is going to be, there has to be a winner to qualify for the King of the Ring. It's going to happen, and I'm going to tell you right now, if I can't beat a clown, I'm not Mr. Perfect.
Well, that matchup on the WWF Network on Wrestling Challenge this week. What do you think about, you've been in championship situations. Your dad, Larry the Axe Henning, one of the great stars in wrestling, being a second-generation wrestler. Everybody wants to be the best in their profession, no matter if they're selling real estate or if they're wrestling, whatever the score is. The WWF Championship, got to be the ultimate goal for any athlete in the World Wrestling Federation. Hogan is the champion. He's going to wrestle Yokozuna. Give me your thoughts athletically about that matchup. I think it's going to be a heck of a challenge for Hogan to retain the title.
Well, I do, too. You know, as everybody knows, Hulk Hogan is probably the greatest thing that ever happened to the World Wrestling Federation, and he's been a great champion throughout the years and everything, but to be perfectly honest with you, Yokozuna is not only a 505-pound man, he's very athletic. He's got that balance of a sumo wrestler, and he's a hard man to take out. And I'm actually looking at Yokozuna being the next World Wrestling Federation champion.
I think it's very difficult when you talk about preparing for an athlete that weighs 505 pounds. I mean, who do you train with? You don't go find another 505-pounder to work on your...
Well, also, Hulk Hogan's been doing quite a bit of movie stuff, you know. If you're not training in something every day, if you're not in that ring working out, I don't care what kind of shape you're in, if you're not prepared ring-wise and with your wind and stamina, you can't perform up to your greatest status.
All right, my friend. Well, listen, I wish you the best of luck this weekend on Challenge against Doink, and I'm looking forward to watching Monday Night Raw tomorrow night live as it happens. This lumberjack match, I got a feeling it's going to be pretty interesting.
It's going to be interesting. Also, I want to tell you, I went out today golfing. I golfed a perfect round par golf today.
Did you really?
You bet.
All right. Well, congratulations, and we'll see you down the road, as they say.
Okay, Jim, you take it easy.
Thanks very much.
Goodbye.
That was Mr. Perfect, great athlete, and we'll be going back to the telephones. We hope to be talking to the Intercontinental Champion, Shawn Michaels, also in this half hour, and I'm sure Darryl will let us know when that's going to be taking place. And while we're doing that, let's go back to the telephones and talk to Joe in Atlanta. Joe, I want to thank you for holding, and you're on AM 750 WSB.
Cool. Oh, yeah. All right. Who else gonna be there at the Daytona match?
The Dayton match in Dayton, Ohio. So far, the main event's been announced, Hulk Hogan versus Yokozuna for the WWF title. The other matches will comprise an 8-man single elimination tournament. Thus far, 4 men have qualified: Bret Hart, Lex Luger, Jim Duggan, and Razor Ramon. And tomorrow night, we'll find out if Typhoon or Bam Bam Bigelow will qualify.
Okay, and can you tell me who's going to win?
Can I tell you who's going to win?
Yeah, come on.
That's the Wizard's job. He'll have to. He's got the crystal ball. I do not have the crystal ball. The best man will win, as they say in the Old West. We're going to go back to the telephone, or back to our our guest line. And we have now the Intercontinental Champion, Shawn Michaels, on the line. Mr. Michaels, I know you're a very busy man, but I want to thank you for taking time to be with us tonight here live on the radio.
You're Justin Okie from Muskogee.
Yeah, you're close. You're close.
Okay,
The
Jim Ross, here you are once again, taking time out of my very, very important life and my dating life to come on your show. Now let's get to business. What is it you want to know?
I want to know tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw, live as the world is watching on USA Cable, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, you and Hacksaw Jim Duggan for the Intercontinental title. Lumberjacks will surround the ring. I talked to Mr. Perfect a little bit earlier. He said he would be one of the Lumberjacks tomorrow night, and that could pose some problems for you if you haven't thought about it.
Oh, you know, everybody's talking about Hacksaw Jim Duggan and this big Lumberjack match, and I'm supposed to be petrified that Mr. Perfect is going to be one of the Lumberjacks. I mean, at WrestleMania, everybody saw what I did to the man. I'm surprised he's got the guts to show his face on nationwide TV as it is.
All right.
But, don't talk when I'm talking,
Excuse
Jim.
me.
You know I don't like that. So now, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, I've already proved to everybody I can beat the man. He's big, he's slow, he's ugly, and let's face it, he ain't Shawn Michaels.
Well, last week it seemed that, just looking at the match, I watched the program from my home, and it seemed to me that you wanted to leave. You were like escaping.
What do you mean? I was done.
Well,
Yeah,
the match
I
was
was done mopping the floor with the guys, so I decided to take the night off early. You know, no big deal.
Well,
when you're the champ, you can do that. You make the rules.
Well, one good thing about being the champion, they got to beat you. You don't have to beat them.
That's right. And you want to know something? I mean, let's face it. Everybody can say what they want about Shawn Michaels, but the Intercontinental Championship is the most prestigious belt in the World Wrestling Federation in all of wrestling. Now, I know that people are going to say, the World Wrestling Federation title is the biggest. Well, let's face it. That belt is somewhere in a dressing room out in Hollywood. Hasn't even been defended. Hulk Hogan's been sitting around making movies while Shawn Michaels, the hardest working man in the World Wrestling Federation, has been defending his Intercontinental title every single night successfully. And that is the mark of a great champion. And that's the mark of Shawn Michaels.
All right, Mr. Michaels. Again, we look forward to your matchup tomorrow night, and I know that Hacksaw Jim Duggan has really been preparing for this one tomorrow night, and the world will see it live as it happens on USA Cable, and I think it's going to be interesting. Especially, I understand Yokozuna may even be a lumberjack, and that could be a problem for Duggan.
Well, you know, I wasn't born yesterday, and you don't get to be the Intercontinental Champion by being some dummy. He wants to bring Mr. Perfect. Well, I got a big 505-pound friend of my own by the name of Yokozuna, the future World Wrestling Federation champion. And, well, I don't want to say anything, but myself, Mr. Fuji, and Yokozuna have been talking it up a little bit, and we got quite a surprise tomorrow night for Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
All right. Shawn Michaels, thank you for your time. Again, I know you're busy. I know the ladies are waiting, and we hope you have a good evening.
No, don't worry. I will, Jimmy.
Thank you very much. Shawn Michaels, the Intercontinental Champion, giving us a call tonight here on the program. Let's get right back to the telephones, and Danny has been holding for quite some time, and young Danny is in Buford. Danny, you're on AM 750 WSB.
I have two questions for you.
Okay.
One is, what happened to Alexandria York?
Apparently, she left the wrestling business. I don't think she's in managing wrestlers anymore. So I really don't know what she's doing in her private life, quite honestly. But I know that she's not actively involved in wrestling at this time.
And what does a lumberjack do in a lumberjack match?
He makes sure that if one of the wrestlers tries to leave the ring before the match is over, or someone is thrown out through the ropes, that they throw them back in. So the lumberjacks just surround the ring and kind of make a human fence around the ring so that the wrestlers cannot escape. Let's talk to Charles in Woodstock. Charles, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross, and I thank you for holding, sir.
Jim?
Yes, sir.
I got a question about WCW.
Go right ahead.
I was wondering what legends are going to be in the Slamboree, and another question, who's your favorite thing that's going to win it?
You know, I've heard a lot of the legends that are going to be in there. I watched one of the programs, watched the report on the Slamboree. I know that, of course, Dusty Rhodes and Ole Anderson will be in it, Blackjack Mulligan. I've heard several other names. I think Nick Bockwinkel from the AWA and Dory Funk Jr. are going to have a 10-minute exhibition or something like that. I don't have a lot of information on that, quite frankly. And I also heard that some other names were advertised that were not going to be there. I heard that the Crusher was advertised, but he wasn't going to be there. That's just what I hear. I don't know. So, but I'm sure it'll be an impressive group of folks that have spent lots of years in the sport. So that'll be on the, when is that, the 23rd or something like that? Talk to Travis in McDonough. Travis, you're on AM 750 WSB.
How you doing, Jim?
Good.
I have two questions for you.
Go ahead.
One is, where's the Ultimate Warrior at right now?
He was, the last I heard, he was on a tour. He was in a tour with a promoter in Austria or in some other parts of Europe. But he's doing some independent stuff. So he's working for various promoters, basically out of the country. He's doing some stuff here, but not much.
Okay, and when will Bret Hart be receiving a rematch for the world title?
I don't know. I think he's well overdue, quite honestly. He's a great wrestler. I think that he is one of the measuring sticks in our business right now. He's a tremendous athlete. A lot of people say he deserved the match in Dayton on the 13th, not Yokozuna. It should be Bret Hart and Hulk Hogan. But, that's all opinion. So I hope he gets one soon. I think he deserves it. I think he's past due. And we're going to have more here on the program. As a matter of fact, let me tell you, if I can, Daryl, about the WWF Fan Club. Let's do that right now. Can we do that? Sure we can. I've got it right here, folks. We are prepared. This is a tight radio broadcast here at 47 minutes after the hour. Since I've been talking about the World Wrestling Federation Fan Club, a lot of you youngsters have joined, and a lot of you talk to your moms and dads about it. It's a great gift. It's a good Christmas gift. It's a good birthday gift. It's a good, hey, thank goodness school's over gift, and I make good grades. It's a lot of fun in all seriousness. And this is one of the most unique fan clubs for kids and fans of any age, quite frankly. I always get calls about the theme music, the entrance music of the various wrestlers. Well, if you join the fan club, you get an all-new cassette containing your favorite WWF superstars' theme music. You also get a membership card, photo collage, a newsletter. You get savings on the magazine subscriptions and merchandise. And you also get a free ticket to a live WWF event in your area. Now, to be a part of it, you can send your check or money order for $13.45 to WWF Fan Club, Post Office Box 3864, Stamford, Connecticut, 06905. Or tomorrow you can pick the phone up and call them at 203-353-2800. That's the WWF Fan Club. Be a part of it. I guarantee you'll have a lot of fun, and we'll have more of your telephone calls after this. This is Wrestling with Jim Ross on News Talk Radio, AM 750 WSB.
This is Michael P.S. Hayes with the Fabulous Freebirds, and baby, when you're hot, you're hot. And the hottest thing going in talk radio today is Wrestling with Jim Ross here on AM 750 WSB. And if you think you're hot enough to handle it, call 872-0750 or 1-800-WSB-TALK.
I hear a debate between Michael Hayes and Neil Bortz. I think Neil Bortz probably in another life was a wrestling manager. Verbose, braggadocious, overbearing, so forth and so on. Anyway, we're back here on Wrestling with Jim Ross, and our meteorologist Kirk Headlock Miller says that tonight a few clouds. Look like there could be a little bit of rain in the area, and a low of only 62 degrees. Tomorrow, partly sunny, warm, high of 86 degrees tomorrow. It's going to be a beautiful day here in the Atlanta area. We're going back to the telephones, and we're going to talk to Carrie in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Carrie, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross. Thank you for holding.
How you doing, Jim?
Good, thanks.
I have a couple of questions. First off, other than the tournament and the Hogan match, what other matches are they going to have at the pay-per-view?
Well, Carrie, I've read a lot of things about matches that are allegedly going to take place there on June 13th. But I'm going to be very, very honest with you. I have only seen the Hogan-Yokozuna match and then the tournament bracket. That if those matches took place, that would be 8 matches in all. And I don't know how many more the time restraints would allow you to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it depends how long they're going to have.
Yeah.
For the whole,
there you go. So I don't really know how that's going to work. But I hear rumors there are going to be other matches. But as far as I know, that's all it is a rumor.
Oh, one last thing. I think a caller earlier had said what happened to Alexander York.
Uh-huh.
But from what I understand, that she's playing housewife. She is married to Dustin Rhodes.
Oh, is that what you heard? Well, there you go. You got that from Carrie in Baton Rouge, and you can just consider the source there. Carrie, thank you very much for your call. Now let's talk to Dave calling us from Maryland. Dave, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross. I thank you for holding.
Okay, thank you. I have a question. Has Hulk Hogan defended the title in the last 30 days, and if not, why hasn't he been stripped of it?
Well, that's a good question. To my knowledge, I don't know that he has defended in the last 30 days. I don't know. What I'm saying to you, Dave, is I don't know of an instance where he did defend it, and that would be something that Jack Tunney would need to address. Maybe we could get Jack Tunney on the program here sometime. We thank you for your call. Let's talk to Ricky in Mapleton. Ricky, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross. How you doing?
Okay, I was just have another question about the Big Boss Man. Do you feel that he's worthy to be the WWF champion, or does he have the ability to perform to do it?
Yeah, he really is getting better. And, he dropped some weight.
Yes,
and I think that really helped his career, and I really think it helped him as a wrestler improve his stamina, because one of the things that he has going for him, he's a great athlete. He's got good balance and good quickness for a big man. And I think he got a little heavy at one time. I think he looks great now, and I think the best is yet to come.
Are you going to try to get him on?
We ought to get him on sometime. We had so many calls tonight. We'll certainly should try to do that. Let's talk to Angela in Morrow. Angela, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. How are you doing tonight?
Good.
I want to know whatever happened at AWA.
The AWA is a memory. It's a memory in a bald head. No, it's a memory in used to be in Minnesota, and of course it looks like WCW is the AWA of the South now, and but the AWA basically is no longer in business. At one time they were a great organization, but they kind of fell by the wayside. We thank you for very much. Let's talk to Robert in Villa Rica. How you doing, Robert?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. This may sound a little silly, but with this Undertaker Giant Gonzalez deal, why don't they just put them in the ring, let them fight till one of them's unconscious, and let the other one be the winner?
Well, that probably would be the best way to do it, or put them in a cage where they make sure you get a winner conclusively.
If they do put them in a cage, make something like just bring wherever the hell you want, and them the first one that gets out wins.
That sounds like one of those lights out matches that I used to broadcast out in the Mid-South area. It was not for the weak at heart, as they say. Dave in Toronto, Ontario. You're on Wrestling with Jim Ross, Dave, and thank you for calling.
Well, good evening, Jim. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
That's great. One big question I had, and I just wondered about this. If you could inquire for me, or if you could even let me know.
Okay.
We don't get Monday Night Raw in Canada unless you have a satellite dish.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if there's any plans on syndicating the program so that we could get it up here.
Dave, it's a great question, and one that I will ask this week when I'm in the WWF offices, and I'll try to get an answer for you on the air next week on that deal. It's a good question.
Yeah.
And watching live wrestling on TV is great. I don't care. We can all say what our favorites are and so forth, but watching live wrestling on TV is super, and Raw on Monday nights at 9 on USA is a lot of fun.
It is. I've seen it on satellite, and I think it's great.
All right, Dave.
Okay.
Thanks, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
You bet. Bye-bye. Dave in Toronto. And we want to thank you for being with us tonight. We'll be back with you live here next week. Do you realize in the last few weeks, you think about some of the guests we've had on this broadcast. We've had Vince McMahon here, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Shawn Michaels. We broadcast WrestleMania 9 live. We've had Ted DiBiase, Bret the Hitman Hart, Hacksaw Duggan, Lex Luger, Luna Vachon, Jerry Lawler, Randy Savage. We've talked to Mr. Perfect tonight and the Wizard. A lot of fun here on the show, and we're going to have some more guests for you next week. Hope you'll be a part of it. Tell your friends about our program, and we've got a lot of things to tell you about here next week. A lot of interesting things going on in the world of wrestling, and we'll update you on them next week here on the program. For my producer, Daryl Harris, I'm Jim Ross saying once again, so long, everybody.
Well, I'll tell you something we all agree on, or at least you and I do. The best shave of your life is with Henson Shaving. I love this product. I'm going to use it forever and ever. It's the last razor I'll ever need. I think you're going to like it too. Henson Shaving is a great company. First of all, they're a family-owned business. I love that. But how about this? This wasn't the original plan. Henson Shaving is an aerospace parts manufacturer. Yeah, you heard me. They've made parts for the International Space Station and Mars rover, and now they're using their aerospace-grade CNC machines to make metal razors that are just 0.0013 inches. That's less than the thickness of a human hair. It means a secure and stable blade that gives you a vibration-free shave. The razor also has built-in channels to evacuate hair and cream, which makes clogging virtually impossible. You see, Henson Shaving wanted to make the best razor, not the best razor business. You see a lot of other razor businesses, they're going to put you in a plastic razor and sign you up for a subscription and have proprietary blades and then switch it out every year or two. So there's some planned obsolescence and you got to buy the new one. None of that exists here with Henson. This is the same type dual edge razor that your grandfather used, except this has the benefits of new school tech. Those CNC machines are getting this dude down to 0.0013 inches. So it's the best of the old school feel, but with all the new school tech. But my favorite part about Henson shaving is not only is it better than what you've been doing as far as your shave experience, it's also cheaper. You see, it's only $3 to $5 to replace the blades. Not $3 to $5 a week, not $3 to $5 a month, not $3 to $5 a quarter, $3 to $5 a year. How do you beat that? Let's say no to subscriptions and say yes to a razor that will last you a lifetime. Visit hensonshaving.com/JR to pick the razor for you and use the code JR, and you'll get 2 years worth of blades free with your razor. Just be sure to add them to your cart. That's 100 free blades when you head to hensonshaving.com/JR and use the promo code JR. Jim, you've had a chance to use this razor. This is as good as it gets. I think you're going to love it. Check it out. You'll be glad you did. hensonshaving.com is where you want to go /JR.
Thanks very much. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the program. It's great to have you with us here on this beautiful Sunday night here in January. We're broadcasting live from Atlanta, and in just a few moments we'll be going to telephones to Charlotte, North Carolina to talk to Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson, of course, as many of you that follow our television broadcast, as it was documented this weekend via an amateur video involved in an altercation with Eric Watts that has certainly created a great deal of discussion and controversy in WCW. And we'll be talking to Arn Anderson from his home in Charlotte, North Carolina in just a few moments. We also, in this broadcast, will be telling you, fans in the Atlanta area, about the big WCW event that returns to the Omni. It's a Sunday afternoon event on February the 7th, 3 o'clock starting time. So for the kids, I think that's good news, good opportunity for mom and dad and the kids to enjoy WCW action with the afternoon start of 3 o'clock on Sunday, February the 7th. We'll also talk about the next pay-per-view in WCW. That will be Super Brawl 3 on Sunday, February 21st. I'm looking forward to this event. It's from a great city, Asheville, North Carolina. Some great wrestling fans in that part of the country. And I know a lot of our friends in the Atlanta area will be traveling up to Asheville as well to see the event on Sunday, February 21st. We'll be giving you more details on that pay-per-view in this hour as well. We'll also focus on this coming weekend's television broadcast, not only on TBS, but also for Worldwide Wrestling. Worldwide, certainly one of the most popular wrestling programs in the country, seen in over 100 cities, hosted by Tony Schiavone and Jesse the Body Ventura. A lot of issues to talk about. The Clash of the Champions has come and gone since we last were with you here on the radio. The event broadcast live this past Wednesday from the Mecca in Milwaukee. It was a cold, snowy night, I can tell you that. But the weather certainly did not put a damper on the fan spirit or the action in the ring. We'll be talking about that event. It's broadcast last night on TBS. I hope you caught at least one of those broadcasts. So there's a lot of things to talk about. The world title issue with Big Van Vader and the situation now at Cactus Jack as a fan favorite. What are the feelings from our wrestling fans on that particular issue? We know that Ricky Steamboat and Shane Douglas certainly have a challenge ahead of them in defending the world tag titles against Brian Pillman and stunning Steve Austin. The Dustin Rhodes, Barry Windham feud certainly getting a great deal of attention because of its ferocity. So that's going to be quite an issue that we could discuss if you choose. We mentioned last week here on the broadcast that sportscaster Harold Johnson of WSOC Television over in Charlotte announced that Nature Boy Ric Flair was returning to WCW. We have been unable to confirm that as far as getting a start date, but we do know there's a great deal of dialogue between Ric Flair and WCW, and we're going to keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully nothing will happen to prevent that from occurring. It will be a great addition to the WCW roster to see Ric Flair competing here again. We also have news of the television title. The television title last held by Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner and his brothers, we've documented here many times, unable to reach a contractual agreement with WCW. They're now competing in the WWF. Scott was the television champion. His contract lapsed, and so the title obviously had become vacant. And I understand that sometime next month a tournament will be held on television to determine a new television champion, and we'll hopefully have more details on that in the upcoming weeks. Let's go now to the telephones and talk to Arn Anderson, who is with us live in Charlotte. Arn, how you doing? We have Arn here. Arn, how you doing today?
I'm doing fair.
The videotape that we want to talk about, the videotape, because many of the fans saw the situation, but update our listening audience here tonight, Arn. What exactly is your status? You had some comments with Jesse Ventura on TV a couple or 3 weeks ago. You might want to refresh the fans' memory on exactly what issues were discussed in that conversation.
Well, Jim, first of all, I want to say I don't appreciate this invasion of privacy, but the only reason that I'm going to go through with this is because I have now and have always respected you as a journalist. I've always said you were very learned and very respectful of everyone, whether you liked them or disliked them, so I'm going to allow this interview.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I want that to be understood first and foremost. Right now I'm hurting physically, and I'm hurting mentally. If you want me to catch everyone in America and possibly the world up, which I'm sure this coverage of this show goes coast to coast. It started out, Bob Eaton and myself wrestled a Japanese wrestler named Sasaki and Eric Watts on television. I made a miscalculated move, and I damaged my knee. He took advantage of it. Fine. He took advantage of the win. I've never recovered, for that matter of fact. My knee has disintegrated each and every time I've tried to do anything physical with it. To make matters worse, the 1st of January, January 1, my contract was up for renewal. Well, Bill Watts, who I don't hold responsible, Bill Watts is a businessman. I don't think this is a personal vendetta. I just think that he has an opinion of what he thinks the fans would like to see on WTBS. He thinks that new and upcoming talent should have the preference, and that's what should be featured. He thinks myself and different people like me have been on this television maybe too long, and the people need a break. Well, that's his opinion. I respect him as a businessman, and I'm going to hold him in that light. My injury was one that was going to put me out of wrestling for who knows how long. The fact that I didn't have a contract told me that Eric Watts had the last laugh contractually. Mm-hmm. Well, Jim Ross, whether you like it or don't like it, or the wrestling fans like it or don't like it, I've always been a man of my word.
I agree with that.
I've said a lot of things in the past that made a lot of people irate, but at least what I spoke was what I believed at the time to be the truth. Agreed?
Wholeheartedly.
I can take an injury like every athlete has to take an injury. If you're going to be a professional wrestler, you better plan on spending 75% of the time hurt. It becomes the norm versus the exception. Well, Eric Watts hurt my knee. That STF is a submission hold, and besides that, it's a very dangerous hold. He took advantage of a situation, and he applied it, and being a young wrestler, to him have that much mat savvy, that impressed me in one way. But again, fine, you win one match, you've got to win another, where I'm concerned.
Right.
If this was a perfect business and a perfect game and a perfect sport, there would be no winners and losers. If everyone was perfect, everyone would be the same. Well, he took advantage of a situation on a given night, and he got the win. Well, when Bill Watts told me that January 1, I didn't have a place to go, I regarded it as being political asphyxiation as far as I'm concerned. He had choked me out of the place that I had grown up, which is the NWA, WCW. He had said, Arn Anderson is through. I regarded it as a personal vendetta, protecting his son. Sitting here evaluating what had happened, I don't think Bill Watts is that type person because he's a businessman.
So it's basically a personal issue between Eric Watts and Arn Anderson.
Absolutely. His son is not a 7-year-old kid that he's protecting on the playground.
Right. So as it stands right now, you are without a wrestling contract and you're injured. First things first, I know for a talented athlete like you, once you're healthy, you're not going to have any problem, I wouldn't think, wrestling anywhere in the world today. But what is the prognosis? When do you expect to be at 100% physically where you can continue your career wherever?
I don't know, Jim Ross. The point that I started that I want to finish now is I don't know if I'll ever be able to get this leg well. When I told Eric Watts on TV, I told him in front of the world, I didn't commit a criminal act. I didn't commit an immoral act. I told him, I said, listen, since I can't have my rebuttal in the ring, in any arena, I'm going to catch you somewhere. And the truth of the matter is, when that plane landed in Charlotte, North Carolina, I knew the flight. I knew he was going to be on it. I followed him to the first position that I could to where he got out of that car, and face-to-face, man-to-man, I tried to settle what had already been started. Well, again, I was half a man. Anybody that's ever suffered a knee injury knows. I'm not making excuses. I'm not a crybaby. I'm not saying anything other than the facts. I jumped on Eric Watts, but I didn't jump on him with all the tools. So, as a man, I'm telling you right now, it's not over. I may never get well. I may never be able to participate as a professional wrestler up to the level that I expect myself to perform, much less what Bill Watts expects me to perform at. And he's constantly striving for perfection where WCW is involved. But I can tell you this, Eric Watts, you got me down, but you didn't put me out. And again, don't look over your shoulder. Don't put eyes in the back of your head. I'm going to come to you head up, eye to eye, face to face. My prognosis is I've torn cartilage and I've strained ligaments. That would stop any other athlete's career. Arn Anderson, it is a point. I'm 34 years old, and it has done nothing except shove me to the point where, hey, be a man and be all you can be in this business at this point and this sport, or step aside. I've analyzed myself. There's an old saying, an old cliche, adversity introduces a man to himself, Jim Ross, and I know who I am right now. I'm Arn Anderson.
All right, we'll continue our conversation with Arn Anderson, and we'll be taking your calls at 872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK. All of our lines are busy, but keep trying. We'll be getting to your calls in just a few moments. This is Wrestling with Jim Ross on News Talk Radio, AM 750 WSB.
This is Missy Hyatt, the most fabulous babe in wrestling, and you're listening to Wrestling with Jim Ross on AM 750 WSB. Why don't you give him a call at 872-0750, or if you're outside the Atlanta area, call him at 1-800-WSB-TALK.
Our producer, John McKenzie's favorite wrestling personality, Missy Hyatt, for two obvious reasons, welcome us back to our broadcast here tonight. Our meteorologist, Curt Headlock Mellish, ladies and gentlemen, says it tonight. It's going to be partly cloudy with a low of 38 degrees here in Atlanta. Tomorrow, partly cloudy and cooler with a high of 50, low of 35 tomorrow night. Right now, it's 49 degrees here in Atlanta. We're going to spend another couple of minutes here with Arn Anderson, who has consented, which I certainly appreciate, some time with us tonight to explain his side of the situation that the fans saw on TV. Arn, so the status of it is that we really, it's going to be kind of up to, I guess, Mother Nature and your rehab and attitude, and I guess it's some things out of your control as far as when you'll be back wrestling.
Well, Jim Ross, my future with WCW doesn't exist. There is no future with WCW. As far as my knee goes, I'm going to get well because I have to get well. I have no other choice. I can't fold up like a lounge chair and just die. This is what I do. I'm a professional wrestler. I'm not a star. Stars are in the sky. Stars are in Hollywood. What I do is wrestle. And I've got to get my knee well. This is how I feed my family. Any American that's out of work right now can relate to what I'm saying. I've got to get the knee well. But I can tell you one thing. I made one mistake with Eric Watts. When he opened that car door on my knee, the knee was already damaged. I attacked a man, and I was only half a man doing the attack. The next time that I addressed Eric Watts, I will be the Arn Anderson that he watched all these last years when he was trying to complete a pass to the University of Louisville, and he sat there in awe saying, hey, that's a real man. Well, the next time, I won't make that mistake again. The next time I attack Eric Watts, if I'm in a position to, it will be in any situation in America, and it will be as 100% the Arn Anderson these wrestling fans know that I am.
All right, Arn. Well, listen, I know that this was not a real pleasant situation.
It's nauseating.
I wish you the very best of luck. I respect you immensely as an athlete, and I hope only the best for you, and we will certainly keep our thoughts on your improvement and your rehabilitation.
Well, Jim Ross, let me just close with one comment. If I never have the honor or the pleasure of wrestling for WCW and matching quips and quotes with you, I just want to say it's been an honor over the years. And wherever I end up, rest assured of one thing, I'm going to be all that I can be. I wish you a lot of success in the future, but keep in mind, I haven't turned into John Wayne. I'm not putting on a white cowboy hat.
I understand.
My sentiments are the same that they've always been. I look out for number one, and I'm going to weather this storm. Let that be the final word.
All right, sir. Thank you very much for your time tonight. We certainly appreciate speaking with Arn Anderson, a very serious tone on the program here tonight, and we thank Arn Anderson for his time. We want to get right to the telephones right now, and we have a full bank of calls, and we're going to try to get to them as quickly as we can. Let's talk to Mitch and Griffin. Mitch, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross on AM 750 WSB.
Yeah, that was a serious tone in Arn's voice.
Yeah, I think he was rather serious about his remarks here tonight. What's on your mind, Mitch?
I wanted to talk about the Clash the other night. I was impressed with the Clash. I thought that Ron Simmons and Van Vader might have been the true highlight of the entire event.
Yep.
It was a really
it's interesting.
It makes Sting takes success against him, and they talk about that, but they don't talk about Ron Simmons and the Sidewalk Slam very much.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Sometimes we overlook the success that Ron has had because of the focus right now seems to be on Sting and Big Van Vader, but we certainly can't forget that on August 2nd, Ron Simmons beat Van Vader for the world title using that power slam. So you're exactly right, and that's a good point.
Also, I wanted to ask you about Bill Fralick. Any chance Bill Fralick coming to WCW?
Well, Bill's a great friend of mine, and he's a super fan of WCW, and I think that right now, Bill had some minor knee problems that luckily for him did not require surgery here in the off season, but Bill's a free agent, and I think all those guys, like Bill Fralick and Reggie White, all those guys that are eligible for free agency right now are really concentrating on that. So, but you never know about that. I know that Bill has a bona fide interest in wrestling, and we'll just, keep our eye on the situation. There's really no new development on it other than we know that Bill's love for the sport certainly hasn't diminished. And, Mitch, we thank you for your call tonight. Let's talk to Marilyn in Atlanta. Marilyn, you're on AM 750 WSB.
Yes, Jim Ross. I've been a fan for 27 years, wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And last night I was watching the Memphis, and they said Bill Dundee was coming to WCW. Is he going to be wrestling or just working in the office?
Bill Dundee is going to be working in the front office, working involved with the talent, the wrestlers, and working as a road agent. He'll be on the road, but he'll be working in the front office, and I don't think there's any plans at this time for Bill to be wrestling. Let's talk to Jeff in Dunwoody. Jeff, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross. How you doing tonight?
Fine. I have three things to say.
Okay.
First up, my friend here, which is a girl named Jordan, says hi. Says hi.
You can get your buddy in trouble there.
And also, do you know who Doink the Clown is?
Noel, I really don't. I haven't. I've seen that one time, and I watched it for about 30 seconds and changed the channel. So I really haven't focused a lot on Doink the Clown. David in Austell, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross. How are you?
Hey, Jim, I'm fine. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Well, Jim, let me answer one question right quick. This kid who asked who Doink the Clown is, it's Big Josh.
It's Big Josh. All right, well, there you go.
Okay, Jim, I want to say first, I got a comment about the Wrecking Crew's in Eric Watts.
All right, go ahead.
I'm really impressed with this Wrecking Crew. I think they're great athletes. I know, I believe it's Fury is the younger brother of Legion of Doom member Animal.
Well, that's that would make him have pretty good stock, obviously.
You got that right. And I know, I believe Rage, didn't he once wrestle as the Master Blaster?
Well, he looks a little familiar there, David, but, those guys, their identities can be numerous, but we'll see how any name, no matter what their name is, they've got to be successful in competition, and that's the bottom line. What was your comment about Eric Watts?
Well, Jim, I'm really mad because, comparing Eric Watts to Arn Anderson would be like comparing Doink the Clown to Ric Flair.
Well, there's a, this is a, you hate to see this situation get in a political vein, but unfortunately that's what has happened in this Eric Watts situation, and he's pretty much in a no-win situation. There's not a heck of a lot I can say in his defense. I think he's an outstanding kid. I know him personally, which a lot of people don't. And you can sometimes a great athlete can be misunderstood somewhat, and I think this kid is getting a bad rap on some areas, that's for sure. Let's talk to Brian in East Point. Brian, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross on AM 750 WSB here in Atlanta.
I got three things to say. Who's going to be in that World Television Tournament that they're going to have for the World Television title?
Well, the brackets haven't been established yet, and I think that will be announced in about 2 weeks, from the best of my knowledge. A couple of weeks they'll start talking about that.
Okay, do you know if Sid Vicious is coming back to WCW?
Not to my knowledge. There's always that speculation with him not wrestling in the WWF, but right now there are no plans for him to be competing here in WCW that I'm aware of.
Okay, that Dustin Rhodes is U.S. champion. Now, is he going to wrestle top talent on the TV?
Well, I'm assuming that he would. It would make a whole lot of difference or a whole lot of sense for him to wrestle inferior competition, and normally I think you're going to see a lot more competition for the U.S. title, and there should be some outstanding one-on-one matchups involving that championship as time goes on. I know that he was very displeased with the way that the match transpired with Ricky Steamboat yesterday on TV, and he was very disappointed Barry Windham somewhat spoiled the moment. We'll have more of Wrestling with Jim Ross. We're taking more of your phone calls on AM 750 WSB after this.
This is Michael P.S. Hayes with the Fabulous Freebirds, and baby, when you're hot, and the hottest thing going in talk radio today is Wrestling with Jim Ross here on AM 750 WSB, and if you think you're hot enough to handle it, call 872-0750 or 1-800-WSB-TALK.
Thanks very much, Michael. All 9 lines are busy tonight. It's been a busy night for Coach John McKenzie tonight, and he's done a great job producing our program. We thank him for his efforts. For you numbers buffs, the Clash of the Champions peaked at a 3.7 rating, and for most of you that will have no idea what that means that at its peak quarter hour, 2.2 million homes were tuned into the Clash this past Wednesday. Approximately 4.5 million people watching WCW wrestling live in prime time this past Wednesday on TBS, and of course we haven't got the numbers from the repeat broadcast last night. So it was a rating success on that regard. We were very pleased that you tuned in if you did, and join us for the event. This weekend on television, I will tell you that on WCW Saturday night, 6:05 back to 6:05 Eastern Time, you will see I think a very informative 2-hour program. First of all, we hope to have some confirmation on the NWA title, the opponent for the Rock and Roll Express, and hopefully more on the White Castle of Fear this weekend on the Super Brawl Control Centers. Also this week, we'll hear some comments on the program from the Rock and Roll Express. We'll see Z-Man and Johnny Gunn take on Big Van Vader and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. Tony Schiavone goes up close with the Stinger, and hopefully he'll be able to shed some light on what exactly is the White Castle of Fear. He's accepted the challenge. I wonder if he even knows what type of match it is. I have a good feeling that he does not. We'll also see Barry Windham meet Two Cold Scorpio, one-on-one on the program Saturday night. plus Cactus Jack and the Barbarian take on Tex Schlesinger and Shanghai Pierce. All that and much more this Saturday on WCW Saturday Night. And, of course, you start your wrestling weekend off with Tony Schiavone and Larry Zbyszko, Teddy Long, and Missy Hyatt. They're going to have a no disqualification match, Vader and Orndorff versus the Barbarian and Cactus Jack. That's a no disqualification match, and that will be this Saturday morning on the Power Hour. So don't forget that. Tune in for that. And there will be no main event for the next couple of weeks on TBS. We'll be back on February the 7th on TBS for the main event. So that's a quick look at television. And also, let's see here, in the Worldwide Wrestling program, the World Tag Team Champion Steamboat and Douglas will be in action. Also, Armstrong versus Barry Windham. Well, that should be a tremendous wrestling match there. And Too Cold Scorpio and the Barbarian also in action on Worldwide. So that's with Jesse Ventura, Tony Schiavone. They do a great job, and hope you'll tune in for that program in your area. I want to go back to the telephones, and we're going to talk to Robert in Jacksonville, Florida. Robert, you're on AM 750 WSB in Atlanta.
Hi, Jim.
How you doing, bud?
Well, this is your admirer again from last week.
Okay, well, good. Thanks for being so loyal, Robert.
No problem. I wanted to ask you a couple things. Who are you going for in the Super Bowl between the Dallas Cowboys and the Buffalo Bills?
Well, that's a very good question, Robert. You know, I was very surprised, quite frankly, that the Cowboys won that ball game today. I thought San Francisco was the best team that we saw all year with the Falcons. But I'll tell you something. The Cowboys have played great. I hope the Cowboys win, but my mind says probably go with Buffalo to break that streak of losses in the Super Bowl. But my emotions say the Cowboys, so I'm kind of hedging my bets. You see what I'm saying? But if I was going to bet on the game, I'm not a gambling man, young man, I'd bet on Buffalo.
Well, I'm a Dallas fan, too. And I wish the Falcons would really be in the Super Bowl. That would be really cool.
Maybe next year.
Oh, yeah. And I'd like to fill you in about the Narcissus thing.
Yeah.
Well, Bobby Heenan announced that he was going to get someone big enough to destroy Mr. Perfect. And so he announced he was going to bring someone in at the Royal Rumble called Narcissus. And now, thanks to you, I know who it is.
It's Lex Luger.
Yeah.
Yep, sure is. All right, Robert. Appreciate it, buddy. You keep up the good work, and thanks for calling tonight from down in Jacksonville, Florida. And get to bed, young man. You've got school tomorrow. David in Stockbridge, you're on AM 750 WSB, Wrestling with Jim Ross, and thank you for holding, my friend.
Yes, thank you, Jim. What I was calling about, all these new wrestlers you got coming into WCW, and you're losing quite a variety of them. And I was wondering, is it possible that you can maybe get someone like the Ultimate Warrior, Davey Boy Smith, people like that to replace the Steiner brothers, Jake Roberts, Rick Rude, who was the greatest...
Rick Rude hasn't gone anywhere. He's still here.
Well, he hasn't wrestled, and he hasn't been...
Well, he's got David, he's got a neck injury. That's why he didn't wrestle at Starrcade.
I know, I was there, and he showed up.
Right. He's got a neck. He's not going to be able to wrestle until about March 1st. So Rick Rude's not gone anywhere. There are negotiations and discussions, as we've mentioned, with Davey Boy Smith. And there has been discussions with Ric Flair. The Ultimate Warrior, I really don't know what his status is. I know that he's doing some freelancing, but I don't know, what if he's interested in coming here and competing. Quite frankly, this is a little bit more intense physically than he has been accustomed to wrestling in the WWF. So that's a career decision that he's making. But I think that Chris Benoit is a great addition. I think Chris Benoit is one of the finest pure wrestlers we've had here in a long time.
But what about like that tag team last night? I can't think of their name. They were dressed like the Steiner brothers used to dress, and those haircuts were like the Road Warriors.
Yeah, that's kind of, they have maybe their identity and maybe need some redefining. But, David, we do appreciate your call and some good points there. Let's talk to Sue in Powder Springs. Sue, you're on AM 750 WSB.
Hi, Jim. How you doing tonight?
Good.
I just wanted to find out, with the Rock and Roll Express from Smoky Mountain Wrestling coming down to compete in Super Brawl, I was wondering, is there going to be any future association with Smoky Mountain Wrestling?
Well, I haven't heard anything, Sue, other than this one-time match with the Rock and Roll Express up at Super Brawl. I don't know of any other talk with Cowboy Bill Watts and Bob Armstrong whatsoever about any future, cooperative efforts. But it's certainly possible. They got some outstanding talent there and some real good competitors. We appreciate your call. Let's talk to Alan, who's calling us tonight from Charlotte. Alan, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate the call, taking the call. Very quickly, the Clash gets a B+. Chris Benoit, Brad Armstrong, outstanding match. I'm looking very forward to seeing possibly Chris Benoit and Two Cold Scorpio matchup, because if that happens, you'll see moves that Jushin Liger and Brian Pillman could only dream of. That was Chris Benoit, and I followed him a little bit in the Stampede area when he was up there. He wrestled in Japan as the Pegasus Kid, so I'm really excited about that. Second of all, the young man who asked about Scott Armstrong.
Yeah.
If the wrestler Dixie Dynamite, the master wrestler Dixie Dynamite, is wrestling in Smoky Mountain, that's him. And I'll leave you with this: how is Cactus Jack adapting to his new tentative status as a fan favorite? How's he handling it? Because on one of the programs it said that they committed the unspeakable. Van Vader and Mr. Wonderful did that. They made the fans cheer for him, and he always drew off the hatred of the fans, and I'm wondering how Jack's adapting to it.
Well, I think that it's going to be an adjustment for him. There's no doubt about it, because I think that the guy is going to be one of the more popular competitors in WCW. He says on his interview that he will now feed off the hatred he has for Van Vader and company, and that's going to be quite a challenge. I want to get, Alan, thank you so much for your call. I want to get, do we have time to get a real quick one here? Let's get Tommy in Morristown, Tennessee. Tommy, I got about 15 or 20 seconds.
Okay, I got a couple of things for you, Jim. First of all, Beautiful Bobby makes his debut in Smoky Mountain Wrestling tomorrow night in North Carolina. And a great match for the Great Muto would be Ric Flair in Super Brawl 3.
Hey, good idea, Tommy, good idea. Well, go out and see Smoky Mountain Wrestling while you're up there in Morristown, Tennessee. And we thank you all for being with us tonight. We thank Arn Anderson for taking time to be with us from his home in Charlotte, North Carolina. We'll be back with you. We'll have another guest live in the studio here with us next week. My thanks to Coach John McKenzie. My thanks to you. And don't forget, be back with us here next week, next Sunday at 9 o'clock. I'm Jim Ross saying good night, everybody.
All right, let's take a time out right here, JR. We want to talk about something that you and I really love talking about. You always say on the show it comes down to the two C's, Connie, cash and creative. Well, I'll tell you what, we've got a creative way for you to save some cash thanks to our friends at Rocket Money. And I have to admit, when I first heard about Rocket Money, I thought, well, that can't save me any money. You see, the idea is we all sign up for subscriptions and then we kind of forget about them. And I thought, well, not me. I'm a good steward with my money. What could they possibly find that I missed? Turns out, a lot. I signed up for a DAZN fight, and I didn't realize it, but when I signed up for the monthly subscription, I never canceled it. So that fight happened more than a year prior to when I actually signed up for DAZN, and they were just hitting my account every single month. I was throwing my money away, Jim. Well, not anymore, thanks to Rocket Money. Not only that, they found that the wife and I both signed up for Hulu, but dude, we watch TV together. We don't need two separate Hulu accounts. Now I'm saving money every single month, and it's all because of Rocket Money. And you may not realize this, but subscriptions are draining your wallet too. The average person has around 12 paid subscriptions, and man, they don't even remember they're subscribed or signed up for about half of those. And you don't really know how much you're spending until you sign up for Rocket Money. At least that was my experience. By the way, it does a lot more than that. It's a great app that tracks all of your expenses, so you know exactly where your money is gone. And it turns out like over 80% of people have something they signed up for that they forgot about. Maybe it's a streaming service or a fitness program. Whatever it is, they take your unwanted subscriptions and they cancel them. They monitor your spending. They help you lower your bills. It all happens in one place. You see, most folks think they're spending like $80 a month on subscriptions. Try closer to $200. Yeah, $200 a month. And here's what's cool about Rocket Money. When you find the ones you're like, wait, I don't remember signing up for that. I don't even use that. You press one button and bam, it's done. No more hold times with customer service. No more silly emails back and forth. Rocket Money does all the work for you. By the way, they can even negotiate lower bills for you by up to 20%. Check this out. You just take a picture of your bill and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. They can even help you create custom budgets based on your past spending and give you a heads up. Hey man, you're spending a lot more than normal this month. Wouldn't that be nice? There's over 3 million folks saving money with Rocket Money. You could be next. A lot of these folks are saving over $720 a year. But how much can you save? Find out right now when you stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and manage your money the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/JR. That's rocketmoney.com/JR. rocketmoney.com/JR.
Thank you very much, and hello again, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast. Beautiful night here in Atlanta. Hope you're having a good weekend. And certainly thank you for being with us here tonight. We're going to have an open line tonight. We're going to talk about whatever's on your mind that is going on right now in the world of wrestling. A lot of things are taking place, wrestling in the public eye more than normal in the last couple of weeks. Some of it has been positive, some of it has not. Also, we will be talking about some of the pending events coming up in WCW. I know tonight a great card going on as we speak in Baltimore at the arena. And then in the Meadowlands in East Rutherford, New Jersey, that'll be on this Tuesday night up in East Rutherford. Wednesday, we're going to be at Center Stage here in Atlanta to tape our national television broadcast of our Saturday night program. And that Saturday night program is going to have a major facelift beginning this Saturday. I'll be telling you about that in a couple of moments. But this Wednesday night, we'll be taping at Center Stage in Atlanta. That's on West Peachtree, about a block from the Arts Center MARTA station. We'll start at 7 o'clock. Tickets are free for the television taping. Monday night, we'll be down in Macon at the Coliseum in Macon. That'll be Monday night, April the 7th. And outstanding card signed for Macon. And we certainly look forward to seeing all the fans in that area on Monday, April the 7th. And then WCW back here in Atlanta. That'll be, of course, in the Omni on Sunday, April the 12th, 7:30 starting time. 5 championship matches signed for the Omni on Sunday, April the 12th. Tickets on sale now at all Ticketmaster outlets and throughout Atlanta. Includes Turtles and Peaches and all kinds of good places. But 5 championship matches signed for that event. It's really going to be a big card. Sting and Big Van Vader for the world title. The Steiner brothers to challenge Arn Anderson and Beautiful Bobby for the world tag team titles. And Ricky Steamboat meets Ravishing Rick Rude for the U.S. heavyweight championship. Just 3 of the matches signed for the Omni on the 12th. And as I mentioned, this Saturday will be the first broadcast of the new WCW Saturday night. It's going to, of course, be on at 6:05. Can you believe that wrestling has been occupying the 6 to 8 o'clock time slot on TBS going? This is the 20th year, and we're happy to say that the ratings are just tremendous. It's one of the highest rated cable programs in America, as a matter of fact, and it's the longest running wrestling program on cable in America. And we're going to make a little facelift, I guess, of sorts, you could say. And some people, I think, are really going to like it, and obviously some people are not going to like it as well, perhaps, as what we've been doing. But I think that the new format certainly has an opportunity to be very entertaining and still retain a great deal of wrestling content. Each week I'll have a guest co-host. This week it will be Jesse the Body Ventura. Each week we'll have a 2 out of 3 fall main event match. This week it'll be for the TV title, Stunning Steve Austin defending against the Z-Man. Each week we'll have a special in-ring, in-depth interview. This week that will be with Ron Simmons. So I think the show's got a real good opportunity to be entertaining and to be exciting. And I know that once we get into it a few weeks, get the bugs worked out, it should be real entertaining. But we think it's going to be a lot of fun this week. We really enjoyed doing that program. And if you'd like to see how we're going to tape the other broadcasts on Saturday night and be a part of the studio audience, that's what we're going to be taping this Wednesday at Center Stage. So also in the news, I talked to Gordon Soley last night. He called me during the basketball games. And Gordon attended in Studio City, California, the Cauliflower Alley banquet for past and present wrestlers, and Gordon was telling me about a lot of the awards that was given out. Woody Strode, a wrestler who later became an actor, was one of the recipients. Stanley Weston, great publisher of wrestling magazines. Danny Hodge, of course, from my home state of Oklahoma, one of the greats of all time, and the former NWA junior heavyweight champion was honored, along with Diamond Lil, a lady midget wrestler, and Penny Banner, who's married to Johnny Weaver, living over in the Carolinas. Donna Christentel, an old-time lady wrestler. Hope she didn't hear that. She probably beat me up. Debbie Combs, Belle Starr, Hardboiled Haggerty. A lot of big names were there, and Gordon Soley was there along with Lou Thez. And I hope someday we can take a camera crew to that event, because I really believe it would be great for the nostalgia buffs that follow wrestling. And also, Gordon told me that some of you fans may remember a tag team many years ago, maybe 20 years ago, by the name of Gypsy Joe and Gypsy Jean. Well, I remember Gypsy Joe, but I didn't really remember Gypsy Jean, and the Gypsy Jean has been murdered, and he was found dead this weekend in Tampa. He last wrestled about 20 years ago, but had about a 20 or 25-year career throughout the United States, a lot in the Southeast, and then finally residing in
in Florida. So Gordon Soley passing along the information on the Cauliflower Alley Banquet and on the murder of former wrestler Gypsy Jean. Well, we're going to take calls tonight, and we're going to take a lot of them, we hope. Hope you'll be a part of it. We're at 872-0750 here in Atlanta. Our toll-free number nationally, we're heard in over 30 states tonight, is 1-800-WSB-TALK. We're talking about professional wrestling. We're talking about specifically WCW wrestling or anything that's on the minds of our listeners, and we're going to go to the telephones and start talking, first of all, with Kenny in Union City. Kenny, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross. Kenny, you there? I guess Kenny didn't stick around. Are you there, Kenny?
Yeah.
Okay. What's on your mind, my friend?
I have a question for you. Did you like working with Missy Hyatt?
Yeah, I like working with Missy Hyatt quite well. She's very entertaining. I've never learned any in-depth wrestling knowledge from Missy Hyatt, but she certainly was entertaining to be around for more than one reason, Kenny. You'll understand more when you get older. Let's talk to Chris in Conyers. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Jim. How you doing?
Good.
I got two questions, and then my friend's got one for you.
Okay.
All right. The first one's, when's Diamond Stud going to be returning?
Well, he's got a pretty serious arm injury, and I'm not sure when he's going to be released from doctor's care. He had a severely torn bicep and a lot of problems with his elbow and had to have major surgery. So I'm not so sure when he's going to be back available.
All right. Do you know if Bam Bam Bigelow or Crush may be coming in?
Bam Bam Bigelow?
Or Crush?
There's a chance that Bam Bam Bigelow might come in because he's the regular tag team partner over in Japan, of course, as you may know, of Big Van Vader. But there's a chance of him. But the other guy, I don't think so.
All right. And I read in my magazine that Williams and Gordy had wrestled in WCW and Pro Wrestling this week.
That they have?
Yeah.
Well, they both have individually, but they haven't as a tag team yet.
All right. And I got one more question.
All right. You're loaded tonight, aren't you?
Yeah. Is it going to be 5-on-5 at War Games this year?
It is going to be 5-on-5 at War Games, and that'll be on pay-per-view on Sunday, May the 17th. Chris, thank you for your call. And Sean in Stockbridge, how you doing tonight? You're on Wrestling with Jim Ross.
Pretty good. I want to talk about four things. First, I want to talk about newcomers to the WCW.
Mm-hmm.
You asked last week a guy by the name of, I'm not sure of his name, but he brought up a few points about wrestlers from the USWA coming in, like Jeff Jarrett or Jeff Gaylord, and I was wondering if either of them or either Paul Orndorff or Paul Roma or Crush or Brian Adams are coming into...
Crush, Brian Adams, no. Paul Roma's boxing right now. He's trying to be a boxer. There's always the opportunity that, some of those men you mentioned would wrestle here, but right now discussions aren't ongoing with them. And that doesn't mean we're not interested, but, if a guy is interested in coming here, oftentimes they'll make the gesture by making a phone call or get in touch with someone. So it's a two-way street, but right now, none of the guys you mentioned are on their way here.
Okay. Next, is Lex Luger currently employed by WCW?
No, he's not.
Okay, because I saw him this weekend. You probably heard about this, but he was during a WWF broadcast, a commercial for the World Bodybuilding Federation.
Mm-hmm. That's what he's doing now, is bodybuilding.
Okay. Two more things. First, I want to tell you a few matches I'd like to see, and you've already said that one of them signed Steve Austin and Sting for the title. When can we see that match?
No, it's Steve Austin and the Z-Man for the TV title. That's going to be this Saturday on TBS.
Oh, okay. And how about Rick Rude and Barry Windham for the U.S. title?
Well, I think it'd be a good match. It'd be a good match, Sean. I appreciate that. Good suggestion from our friend Sean in Stockbridge. Now let's quickly go to Chris in Marietta. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Mr. Ross.
How you doing?
Oh, sorry.
God bless you. Got a cold?
Yeah, kind of.
All right.
I've got three questions.
Hurry.
Do you have anything, information about the War Games?
It's going to be two 5-man teams, and the teams are not yet finalized. I got a feeling Sting will be on one team, and that the Dangerous Alliance will comprise the other 5, but hasn't been finalized.
And my second and the third questions. When's Scotty Flamingos going to first wrestle?
It'll be a couple of weeks yet. Still there?
Uh-huh. And when is Jim Ross coming to WCW?
Who?
Jim Cornette.
Jim Ross is already in WCW. I'm very indiscreet here, Chris. Jim Cornette. I wish Jim Cornette was on his way to WCW, but that's not in the cards right now. He's a heck of a talented guy and a very, very successful manager, but he's involved in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. I'd love to have him as a guest on the program sometime. Maybe we'll try to do that. Fans, you're listening to Wrestling with Jim Ross on AM 750 WSB, and we'll be back with your calls right after this. Yeah. And welcome back, everyone, to the program. This is Jim Ross on News Talk Radio AM 750 WSB, and our meteorologist Curt Henning says that tonight we can expect scattered showers and a low of 54 degrees in Atlanta, and tomorrow scattered showers continue with the possibility of a thunderstorm. Tomorrow's high 63, tomorrow night's low 47, and right now it's 57 degrees here on Peachtree in Atlanta. And we have, the phones are really rocking and rolling tonight. Our producer, Daryl Harris, doing a great job of keeping these calls coming. And I do want to, I'll get back to the phones momentarily, but I do want to remind you again that our new WCW Saturday night program debuts this Saturday at 6:05 Eastern Time. We'll talk more about that before we go off the air. Also, 1 week from today on TBS, you'll see the 2-hour special of the WCW main event with Tony Schiavone and Magnum TA, Missy Hyatt. Should be a really an outstanding program. Some great matches signed, including Rick Steiner and Beautiful Bobby Eaton in a one-on-one match, plus a 6-man tag team match. Ricky Steamboat, Barry Windham, Dustin Rhodes will take on Rick Rude, Arn Anderson, and Larry Zbyszko. And I'm going to have a conversation with Harley Race and Big Van Vader on the Ross Report. That'll be on the main event 1 week from today at 6:05 Eastern Time, 2 hours. Hope you'll join the folks for that one. And also, don't forget that if you're in Atlanta, that you can watch Worldwide Wrestling with Tony Schiavone and Jesse Ventura beginning on April the 11th. But the show is on right now on Saturday nights on Channel 69 in Atlanta, 11 o'clock Saturday night with Joe Pedicino and Bonnie Blackstone. And we certainly enjoy watching that wrestling block. It's on Saturday nights from 8 until the wee hours, but Worldwide comes on at 11 o'clock. Let's go back to the telephones and take some more calls here. We're going to get to work here, earn our money. Robert, how you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I
got like 3 quick things and a comment.
Okay.
Do you know what the name of a Rat in the Man's theme music is? Because I heard it on a commercial somewhere else.
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
Somebody told me Kevin Sullivan's dead. Is he?
No, Kevin Sullivan's alive and well.
And how long do you think a match would go, and who do you think would win between Big Van Vader against Abdullah the Butcher in a steel cage?
Well, I don't think it would probably go very long, but I think because of his maybe his youth and his conditioning, that Big Van Vader would probably come out on top, but it certainly would not be a very pretty match, to say the least. Let's talk to Joel in Alabama. Joel, where are you calling from?
From Albertville, Alabama.
Where's that?
Between Huntsville and Gadsden.
Okay. Well, what's on your mind tonight?
I have 2 questions. One of them is WCW planning any events in Huntsville, Alabama, if you know of?
Not that I'm aware of, but we have been there on many occasions. Because we drive over there from here in Atlanta. It's a beautiful drive, as a matter of fact. But I don't know, Joel, right off the top of my head, of any events scheduled there. I'll try to look during the news. If you keep listening, we'll bring that information to you.
Okay, and is Jake Roberts coming to the WCW?
As of right now, he's gainfully employed in the WWF and scheduled to wrestle at WrestleMania. So what happens after WrestleMania is anybody's guess. So, but right now, no.
I had heard that his dad works for WCW.
Well, his father's in within our company, but wouldn't have a bearing on whether Jake Roberts came here or not. It's totally 2 separate issues.
Okay, I think Calvin Fry's been doing a great job with WCW today.
Yeah, he's doing a good job. He's a real hard-working man, and he's doing a good job. He's making some hard decisions, but he's making some fair ones, and I think that's what it takes.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you for calling us from Alabama tonight. Let's go back to our telephones and talk to Joseph in Shaker Heights, Ohio. You're on Wrestling with Jim Ross on AM 750 WSB.
Hey, Jim, how you doing?
Good. How are you tonight?
Fine. You hear about the main events for WrestleMania 8?
WrestleMania 8? Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with them. Flair and Savage and Hogan and Vicious Justice.
Yeah, what do you think about the Flair one?
Well, I'm sure it'll be a great match. Both those guys can really wrestle.
And I was wondering if you were talking about Crush earlier.
Mm-hmm.
He's wrestling in the Pacific Northwest, I think.
Yeah, I think he's from that area. I heard he was going back to work for the WWF, but I have nothing to base that on. I just know that he hasn't had any conversation with our organization.
Yeah, because he was in Demolition in the WWF, and they split up.
Right. What else, Joseph, on your mind tonight?
And, how did Van Hammer get his nickname?
I don't have any idea. We'll have to have him on the program sometime and ask him. I couldn't answer that one. Joseph, thanks for calling us tonight from Shaker Heights, Ohio. And we're going closer to Atlanta now and talk to Russ, who is in Marietta. Hi, Russ.
Hi, Mr. Ross.
How are you?
I have two quick questions.
Okay.
Okay, do you know what happened to Marty Jannetty of the Rockers?
I believe that Marty Jannetty has had some problems, out-of-ring problems, some personal problems that I really don't care to get into here, but they have precluded him from returning to action in the WWF.
Yes, my second question is, do you think Lex Luger's going to the WWF to wrestle?
Well, I think eventually Lex Luger's going to the WWF to wrestle. I think that they will subtly use him on TV, as he did this weekend, in the posture of a bodybuilder to keep his awareness and keep his name in front of the wrestling viewers, so that when contract restrictions allow it, he'll be able to wrestle for the WWF, which will probably either be sometime at the end of this year or sometime next year, unless something unforeseen happens. But I think right now it's basically just kind of a camouflage situation. He's not going to be a bodybuilder he's a wrestler. I mean, he has a great body, there's no doubt about it, but he's there with that company to become a wrestler, and the bodybuilding thing just happens to be a nice, convenient way of getting him on board a little early. Let's talk to J.D. in Decatur.
Jim.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
Good.
Hey, good. I was wondering, whatever become of the Superstar?
Well, I think that he's, for best of my knowledge, the Superstar's retired from wrestling now, still lives in the Atlanta area. He was a tremendous wrestler in his day, I can tell you.
Oh, I remember him when I was growing up, and he was really awesome. And, he had made the statement that if he ever became the world champion, he would unmask,
Mm-hmm.
And I was just curious why he got out, if he...
Well, I think just like a lot of us, he was on the road for many, many years, and it really takes a toll on your body, takes a toll on you physically, and even though he stayed in great shape all the time, it's just a tough grind. And there comes a time where a man sometimes wants to stay home and watch his kids grow up. So
Oh yeah, he just retired, didn't he?
That's, as far as I know, that's what he's done.
Well, he gave us a great entertainment, and he was a terrific athlete. And I would really like to send my sympathy out to Brett Wayne Sawyer and his family. Because of Buzz.
Yeah, that was...
Yeah, I know Brett personally, and, that kind of shocked me when I heard about Buzz. And the bad thing about it was, unfortunately, I missed the TV program about it, and I kind of heard about what happened, here to say, and that was really bad news.
It sure was, J.D. We appreciate your call tonight, my friend, and thanks for calling Wrestling with Jim Ross. This is News Talk Radio AM 750 WSB, and we'll be back.
Now, it's Wrestling with Jim Ross on News Talk Radio AM 750 WSB. You can talk with America's leading wrestling broadcaster and his guests. Call 872-0750. Now, here's Jim Ross.
And welcome back, everyone. Thanks for being with us here tonight on the program. We're taking your calls on an open night talking about wrestling, and a lot of questions tonight, a lot of good calls thus far, and we're going to continue to take your calls momentarily. Don't forget that this Wednesday night, the national television taping of WCW Saturday Night, our new Saturday night broadcast, will be held at Center Stage. That's this Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. Tickets for that TV taping are free. And then we return to the Macon, Georgia Coliseum on Monday, April the 7th, and then back, of course, in Atlanta's Omni on Sunday, April the 12th, 7:30 in the Omni, and that's really going to be a big card. We talked about 5 championship matches signed for the Omni on that night. Should be a great night for everyone, and I hope you can join us there. Tickets on sale at all Ticketmaster outlets. And don't forget our television programs this weekend. A lot of action on the Power Hour. Starts off at 9:05 in Saturday morning. I should know. I'm on that program. I should remember that, but I'm having problems not reading my own writing.
I got out of the news a minute early. We went to news a minute early, folks. I can't read my own writing. I need to slow down here. Saturday night, WCW Saturday night debuts, 6:05. Jesse the Body Ventura there as our guest co-host. 2 out of 3 fall main event will be one of the highlights weekly of that program. And then a 2-hour WCW main event with Tony, Missy, and Magnum next Sunday. And don't forget Tony Schiavone on Worldwide Wrestling, excuse me, on Channel 69 here in Atlanta, 11 o'clock Saturday night.
Okay, guys, let's take a time out right now and give you a little peek behind the curtain. JR is feeling better than ever. He's traveling just like he was back in the good old days. Now with AEW expanding that schedule, how does he keep doing it every single day? Well, he starts every day with 1 scoop of delicious AG1. It really does check all the boxes. He's going to have more mental clarity. He's going to sleep better. He's just going to feel like he's got more energy, improved digestion. Literally, it checks all the boxes. You see, AG1 replaces your multivitamin, your probiotic, and everything else in one easy and delicious drinkable habit. That's right, a drinkable habit. Think of AG1 as like your foundational nutritional supplement. It's going to deliver comprehensive nutrients to whole body health. Now, let me just run through what that means. I mean, it's getting rid of all your minerals, all your prebin probiotics, all your adaptogens, and it's even got a greens blend. All of this exists in just 1 simple scoop of water. It's never been ever easier than that. All told, you're talking like 75 different high-quality vitamins, probiotics, and whole food source superfoods. And listen, let's be honest, as we get older, we got to start taking better care of ourselves, but it can be a lot to think, all right, I got to take this in the morning and this in the afternoon and this in the evening. What if it was just 1 scoop and a cup of water every day? That's what AG1 does for you. And don't just take our word for it. These cats have got like more than 7,000 5-star reviews. And I have to be honest, when my wife first introduced me to the idea, I thought, yeah, but I bet it tastes, well, not so good. I was wrong. It tastes great. It makes you feel good. You will feel more productive. I challenge you to just try it. Just see what you think. You see, AG1 was created in 2010. They've helped millions of people get their morning started on a healthier foundation ever since. It's going to save you time. It's going to save you money. I just can't recommend it enough. If you're looking for a simpler, effective investment in your health, I want you to try AG1. As a matter of fact, we'll get you 5 free AG1 travel packs and a free 1-year supply of vitamin D with your first purchase. Just go right now to drinkag1.com/JR. That's drinkag1.com/JR. Check it out. You'll feel better. You'll sleep better. You'll be more productive. Man, it's everything you're looking for. It's drinkag1.com/JR.
Let's go back to the telephones and talk to Butch. You're on Wrestling with Jim Ross. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Michigan. How are you, Jim?
Just fine, Butch. Where at Michigan are you?
By Kalamazoo.
Kalamazoo.
Do you know where that is?
Yeah, great win for your team today, huh?
The Wolverine?
Yeah.
You got it.
Or yesterday. When was that? When was that game? That's today, wasn't it?
It sure was, Jim. It sure was.
All right.
I've got 3 questions, and I'm going to make them brief because I know you're a busy man, Jim. But before I get to that, could you please clear up to myself and to a lot of my friends, and I'm sure people across the country, how did Buzz Sawyer die? Can you reveal that?
I only heard that I know he was found on his front porch by his wife.
Oh, my.
I know that it was not a foul play situation like he had been shot or something like that. They were going to do an autopsy on him, and to the best of my knowledge, Butch, the results of that autopsy have not been made public.
Tremendous loss, Jim.
Yeah, he was a great athlete.
That was a tremendous loss. My first question is, last week you mentioned that you were going to have an NWA tag team tournament. I was wondering, could you give the top contenders for the NWA tag team?
Well, the plans, Kay Allen Fry made the announcement that WCW had secured the rights to televise the NWA World Tag Team Tournament. And right now, it's still in the planning stages, but I do know that they have contacted organizations other than WCW to have teams compete in this. So it's not like it's going to be a WCW company-wide tournament.
That's good, because that's what my fear was.
Yeah, from the best of my knowledge, there's going to be probably a couple of teams from Japan, maybe a team from Puerto Rico. I know they talked to the Mexican promoters about getting a representative from Mexico. They've talked to somebody in Germany about a German team. So I think that they're trying to make it have a real, genuine international flavor. Perhaps at the June Clash to have it.
That's great. Second of all, I was a huge fan of the Four Horsemen and Tully Blanchard. Now, I know he was doing minister work for a while. Does he have any intentions at all of coming back to wrestle? And if not, why not?
Well, I think that, to the best of my knowledge, Tully is very happy doing what he's doing right now. There was a erroneous rumor in the wrestling business that we wanted to hire him at one time and decided not to. Basically, when Tully left the WWF, he wanted to make some changes in his life, and he did. And now he's doing this ministry work that he's doing. It's very gratifying for him. He's got a lot of peace of mind. He's home with his family. He's got a young child. I don't think he wants to get back into wrestling, quite honestly.
No,
and
as
so
long as he's happy.
He's very happy, and as long as the guy's happy, then let's just pat him on the back and tell him to keep up the good work.
Sure, that's all that counts. And lastly, Jim Ross, I'd like to name a couple of people that I'd like to see that come to the league that were there at one time, that were there only for such a short time. There was a remarkable athlete by the name of Conan there last summer. He was a Mexican champion.
Yeah, we tried to get him here, and just couldn't get to terms with the guy, and I think he's under contract with the WWF, but I'm not sure.
Well, Larry Cameron and Doug Furness were there also, and I'd love to see them, and also Claxton Blackheart, the manager. So I'd like to see those three. If you could, I think Conan and Furness and Cameron would be a wonderful addition, as well as Claxton. I think you're in need of another.
All those guys are good pieces of talent. There's no doubt about it. I know Doug Furness personally. He's from Oklahoma. I remember I officiated one of his high school football games one time.
Hey, Jim, do you have any questions for me?
So it worked out pretty well. Do I have any questions for you?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well, keep up the good work, Jim.
I will, and thanks for calling us tonight from Kalamazoo, Michigan. It was his nickel, so we just let him talk. Mark in Avondale, how you doing?
Fine, Mr. Ross.
Okay.
One thing I'd like to point out to the gentleman that mentioned the superstar,
yeah,
he did, in fact, not retire. He was one half of the tag team Demolition. He wrestled as Axe.
Right.
And they mentioned the rules. I've noticed there's two rules that seem to have gone down the pike.
Boy, don't get me started on the rule book. That's a sore subject with me.
And the rule is the 30-day limit. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when Luger wrestled in Japan on January the 4th, he didn't wrestle until Super Brawl.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time they said Sting has he already made his first title defense?
Who, Sting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that goes in. But the main thing...
He's defended the title several times, as a matter of fact.
Okay,
the deal is that I asked that same question to people in the WCW offices. How can we have a 30-day rule whenever he's going to defend the title on January 4th and not again until February 25th? Because even where I come from, I can add and subtract, and that's over 30 days. There's, these guys have all kinds of clauses. He's got a certain, it's like having, I looked at it like having a vacation time. He had a certain amount of time that he could take off based on his contract. He was contracted to wrestle a certain amount of times during the course of the year, and he had fulfilled his agreement. So they were kind of over a barrel. So I don't know what they could have done about it, but it is kind of frustrating.
And two other things I'll point out real quick. It used to be that when a man won any championship, that he would automatically assume the champion's schedule of title defenses, and that seems not to be the case in WCW recently.
What's your point? What's your illustration?
Well, like at the Super Brawl press conference with Sting, they asked him who his next opponent would be, and he apparently had no idea. Or like when the Z-Man won the TV title a couple of years ago, and Terry Taylor was scheduled to wrestle him. Taylor said, well, there goes my title shot down the drain, and that necessarily wouldn't have been the case.
Yeah. That's a good point. I think Sting was probably, after that match, was a little bit caught up in the moment. I don't think he really cared who he wrestled at that time, and probably hadn't given it a lot of thought, to be quite honest with you. But, Mark, we appreciate your call tonight on Wrestling with Jim Ross. Let's go talk to Donald in Decatur. Hi, Donald.
Hi, Jim.
How you doing?
I got three questions. First question, I know Calvin Fry is the
president of WCW. You said vice president. Who is the president? Second question.
Jack Petrick's the president. K. Allen Fry is executive vice president and in charge of day-to-day operations.
Okay, is Great Muta going to come back, and whatever happened to wrestling number 2?
The Great Muta is coming back to WCW. He has signed some contracts to wrestle for the World Championship Wrestling beginning in April, and he's going to be tag teaming with Sting on occasion. I know that that's going to be definite. So Muta will be back with Sting as a tag team partner in some matches during the month of April, and I don't know how long he's going to stay, maybe a month. He's in such demand in his home country, it's hard to keep him here much longer than that. And Mr. Wrestling 2, who was originally from Hawaii, and years ago he bought property there, and then he wrestled for many, many years, as you know, Donald, in America, and basically here in Atlanta, home base. But he's returned to Hawaii. He's happily retired, and he's in great health and doing just fine. And we appreciate your call very much. Let's go to Anita in Marietta. Anita, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross on AM 750 WSB.
Okay.
Anita?
Okay.
Turn your phone down, my dear.
Okay, hello, Mr. Jim Ross.
Hi, Anita.
I have two... Okay, turn the radio down. I've got two short questions to ask you.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, my first one is I've recently saw WCW, the main event, this evening, and I heard that there's a rivalry between Van Hammer and JT Southern.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering when there would be a possible match up with them.
Oh, I'm sure they're going to wrestle sometime down the road, probably. Oh, I would guess in a month, 6 weeks, something like that, probably when they're going to get together. Both of them schedules are pretty full right now, but somewhere down the road, maybe they should have a hair match.
Well, I don't know about that. I like their hair.
Okay.
But my second question is, I live in the Marietta area.
Yes.
And I was wondering, do you happen to know when WCW will be coming back to perform the wrestling matches up at the Cobb County Civic Center?
Anita, I don't think the Cobb County Civic Center is on the schedule right now, but we get calls on that a lot, so I think it's something we'll bring up to the WCW board and let them and the folks that make the schedule. It's a good point, and I appreciate your call tonight. Let's talk to Lee and Dalton. Hi, Lee.
Hi.
How you doing?
I got some questions for you.
All right, boy. You guys are killing me tonight. You know that, don't you?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'd like to know where will Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert ever return to WCW?
Oh, you never know.
Yeah.
Nothing. I don't think he's having any discussions with him right now, but there's no reason that I'm aware of, Lee, that would prevent him from coming back if both parties so desired.
And where's Alexandra York right now? Is she going to be coming back?
She's faded off into the big boardroom in the sky. I don't think she's going to be back. At least I haven't heard of her resurfacing any, and she's not in wrestling any longer from what I understand. Let's go down to our long-distance line and talk to Sean in Pontiac, Illinois. Hi, Sean.
Hi, Mr. Ross. First of all, I want to say I enjoy your WCW program
Thank
that
you.
we get up here in Central Illinois. And I got a question for you that I've been dying to ask you. Why does Larry Zbyszko have to have Paulie Dangerously, the little dweeb, as a manager?
Well, that's a great question, Sean. I wish I could answer it. Larry Zbyszko doesn't need Paulie for strategy or to communicate for him. That's a question. We'll try to get Larry on here some night. Maybe you can call back and we'll ask him.
Yeah, and I also got one quickie. Didn't he, when he initially left WCW, as an undefeated Western States champion, now, will that title ever be reactivated?
I don't think so, Sean, because I think the feeling at WCW is that there may be too many titles and it dilutes from the other championships. You know what I mean? So yes. I doubt it.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Well, again, I want to say I appreciate your insight on the WCW. I've been watching wrestling since I was 8 years old.
All right,
I've been a student of it, and I hope you maybe someday come to Southern Illinois.
All right, my friend. We'll come up there to the home near the Salukis of Southern Illinois. That was Sean in Pontiac, Illinois. And you're listening to Wrestling with Jim Ross. This is AM 750 WSB. Welcome back, everyone, to Wrestling with Jim Ross here in Atlanta. It's a beautiful night right now. It's 57 degrees here in Atlanta. We can expect scattered showers tonight with a low of only 54 degrees. And tomorrow, Again, our meteorologist Curt Henning says we're going to have scattered showers throughout the Atlanta area, possibly a thunderstorm or two, and tomorrow's high will be around 63 degrees with a low tomorrow night of 47 degrees. And again, here in Atlanta on Peachtree, it's 57 pleasant degrees, and we're happy you're with us here tonight on the program. We'll be back with you, of course, next week, next Sunday night, 9 o'clock. If you're going to call the program, please don't start calling until 9 o'clock because it's quite frankly, somewhat overwhelming to try to have the sports talk show and all of my friends trying to get in on the wrestling line. So if you'll wait till 9 o'clock to call, it'll certainly make everyone here happy and will help maintain their sanity because we have 9 lines here, and they're all full right now at 872-0750, and, of course, long distance, our number nationwide, and we're heard in 38 states tonight, I am informed. 1-800-WSB-TALK, and we're going back to the telephones. Roy, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross. How you doing?
How you doing, Jim?
Good.
I got 2 questions and a comment for you.
Okay.
Is Jushin Thunder Liger under contract with WCW still?
No, he's not. He has always been under contract with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and we have a cooperative agreement that we share wrestling talent with them. So his American dates will be wrestled with WCW, but his contract is with New Japan.
Tonight I saw Barry Windham go against Steve Austin on the main event.
Right.
And I thought that was a great match. Do you think that them two will get together again?
Oh, I think so. I think most definitely. I think that, as a matter of fact, Barry told me last week that he's got more than a casual interest in the television title. And I think he and Austin both are just outstanding wrestlers, and that should be a real neat matchup when they meet. And Roy, we appreciate your call from Palmetto. Let's talk to Chris. Hi, Chris.
Hey.
How you doing tonight?
Fine. I would like to ask 2 questions.
Okay, sir.
Whatever happened to Diamond Stud?
Diamond Stud, as we addressed earlier in the program, sustained a serious bicep and elbow injury that required major surgery. So he is still in rehabilitation.
And I'd like to know if the Road Warriors are planning to come back to WCW.
There's no talk about the Road Warriors coming back. Little talk about a month ago, but I think that's pretty well cooled down. I think that they're probably going to stay in the WWF. Sue in Powder Springs, you're on Wrestling with Jim Ross. How are you tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, Mr. Ross?
Fine, thanks.
Okay, I just wanted to make one comment about Marcus Alexander Bagwell, which I know him as Fabian from the Georgia All-Star area.
Yes, ma'am.
Last week, a lady called in, wanted to know if his body had been built by steroids.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say that Fabian has been a friend of mine for nearly 2 years. And I wouldn't hang around anybody who had built their body with steroids or used any drugs.
Well,
I just want to say that kid is drug-free. He's a good kid. I hate to call him a kid, but he is younger than I am. I hate to admit that.
Yeah, he's just a pup.
But he's drug-free, and I just want to say that he's a decent young man. And
Good.
That he did not build his body with steroids, so Kip Allen Friday him have nothing to worry about with him.
Well, that's good. I hope that you're right.
All right, and also I want to make a comment. Thursday night I went and seen Steve Armstrong singing a concert.
Uh-huh.
And despite the fact that he has a new attitude that sometimes gets on my nerves, he's a great singer.
Really?
I just want to publicly admit that he's fabulous. I mean, Michael Hayes has competition.
All right.
But he has a new album, and he has every reason to be proud because I hear it at work. I take it to work with me.
All right, Sue. Well, thank you for calling us, and we'll try to listen to some of Mr. Armstrong's musical talents one of these days. Tracy in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing, Jim?
Fine, thanks.
I got a question, and I want to clear up a rumor for me, please.
All right.
All right, the question is, when does wrestling come back to Myrtle Beach?
Well, it's not scheduled. I looked at the calendar here just a moment ago. It's not scheduled through June. Mm-hmm. So I would think sometime in the summertime, but I'm guessing, Tracy. But
the last one I've been to was the Bash on tour.
Yeah. What is your comment?
I've heard that Baby Doll was coming back. Is that true or what?
No, as far as I know, she has no plans on her coming back here either. See how rumors are in this industry. Let's talk to Eric in Denham Springs, Louisiana. You're on Wrestling with Jim Ross on AM 750 WSB, Eric.
Hey, Mr. Ross, I have a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
One, I'd like to know who you think is going to win the 2 main events at WrestleMania.
I probably would go with Flair and Hogan.
Okay, and I'd also like to know how you would compare K. Allen Fry to Jack Tunney.
Well, Eric, I don't know Mr. Tunney, so it'd be very unfair for me to compare him with K. Allen Fry, who I've only known since he's been on the job. Well, he's been with the company since last summer, but I've only known him in WCW since January. Both seem to be very fair. I think perhaps that Mr. Fry's ideas are going to be much more contemporary. I think they're going to be much more modern because of the age difference. Mr. Fry's in his early 30s, and I'm assuming that Mr. Tunney's in his 60s.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, appreciate your call tonight from Denham Springs, Louisiana, and let's see if we can get some more. We're doing good here tonight. Tracy in Union City.
Hi, Jim.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Jim, I have 2 questions.
Okay.
I have a 4-year-old son. Okay, he has got all the wrestling figures.
Yep.
And he's wanting to know if there's going to be any more new ones coming out.
I talked to I get that question a lot. Some of you may remember. I talked to some people last week about that. There will be new figures coming out, but I didn't get a lot more information. So, as soon as I know, I'll certainly let you know here.
Okay, and my second question is, when will the next Clash of the Champions be held?
The next Clash of the Champions will be held on Tuesday, June the 16th from the Citadel in Charleston, South Carolina.
Will it ever be held in Atlanta anymore?
The Clash?
Uh-huh.
I don't think it's scheduled for Atlanta during the month, during this year, but I think that Starrcade 92 will be held in the Omni in Atlanta. And Tracy, we appreciate your call very much. Let's talk to Lynn in Marietta. Hi, Lynn.
Hi, I got 3 questions for you.
Okay, you better hurry.
One, what happened to Lady Blossom?
As far as I know, she got out of the wrestling business and may have gone back to England.
Okay, and second of all, what happened to Woman?
Woman is living in Florida, taking life easy.
Okay, 3, and I got a great combination that could come by and get to stop Jim, of course, Paulie Dangerously and Medusa Michelli, and that is the Magnificent Mimi and Jonathan Blue.
Okay, well, that'd be an interesting situation. Thanks, Lynn. We appreciate your call tonight in Marietta. We'll get one more on here real quick. Let's talk to Derek in Augusta. Hi, Derek.
Hey, Jim. It's great to talk to you. I think you do a fine job on TV. I've been listening to you for a couple of weeks now.
Well, I appreciate that.
And the show was great.
Tell your friends about our radio show. We're really getting out there, and it's really doing well. It's a top-rated radio program in its time slot in Atlanta on AM or FM, and we're really proud of that.
Yeah, well, I think you do a great job. I just have a couple of quick questions. First of all, is Heavy Metal Van Hammer any kin to Ultimate Warrior? Because they look alike.
No, they're not.
Okay, I didn't think so. A friend of mine thought they were, but I didn't think so. And secondly, is Ron Simmons going to concentrate on the world title, or is he going to be tag teaming with the Junkyard Dogs?
Well, I think that Ron has some matches signed with JYD as a partner, but I believe if you really talk to Ron, as I have in the past, Ron is going to concentrate on being the world's heavyweight champion. He really wants to be the first black heavyweight champion of the world, and, man, I'm not going to count him off the list of that. He's a great athlete. Derek, thanks for calling us tonight down in Augusta. And I certainly want to thank all of you for being with us here tonight on Wrestling with Jim Ross. Sorry we couldn't get all of you on the air tonight. We'll be back again next Sunday at 9 o'clock here on AM 750 WSB. Don't forget to join us if you can in Atlanta this Wednesday night at Center Stage, the big national TV taping. And our first broadcast of WCW Saturday night is this Saturday night at 6:05 on TBS. For Daryl Harris, I'm Jim Ross saying good night, everybody.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson here to tell you a little more about what AdFreeShows.com is all about. Get early, ad-free access to more than a dozen of your favorite wrestling podcasts every single week, starting at just $9. That's less than 20 cents an episode each month. And yes, you can listen to them all directly through Apple Podcasts or your regular podcast apps. How easy is that? Ad-Free Shows also has thousands of hours worth of bonus content and docuseries like Title Chase, Eric Fires Back, Conversations with Conrad, and The Insiders. Plus new series like The Book with David Crockett, Monday Mailbags with Mike Chioda and Nick Patrick, and a whole lot more. And you want to talk about early? You can't get any earlier than listening to the shows live. You can be a part of the live studio audience as we record the podcast. Plus, ride shotgun alongside your favorite childhood heroes for live watch-alongs, Q&As, and other interactive experiences every single month. Come on now, see for yourself what thousands of other wrestling fans from around the world have discovered, that AdFreeShows.com is the best value in wrestling. Check it out today, and hey, when you do, The first week is completely free. AdFreeShows.com.